Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you like the ultimate Les Paul rig for me. Just a little backstory before I show you today's rig. I've been hired to play in a Southern rock band, so this rig is really geared towards Southern rock, but it'll really handle 90% of the music that I play at least. So with that, let's jump into it. Alright, before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who purchased the Tools Day rig. I really do appreciate y'all. If y'all have any questions with it, let me know. I played it in the last Tools Day I did, and it worked great. It sounded really, really close to Atom. So with this one, just to give you a little context, in my Southern rock band, or the Southern rock band I've been asked to join, it's very like Skinnerd heavy and black keys. We're just doing a lot of different things, so I needed something that worked for most tracks. The way that I have my FM9 set up is my first button on the top row is scenes, then I have effects, and then I have presets. So I can trigger any preset or any effect at any time. But the way that I have my scenes laid out is the first 4 scenes that you see, they are all my dirty tones, and the bottom 5, these are all my clean tones. So this is really built around 2 amps. I'm using the Dirty Shirley for all my dirt tones, which this is basically a boutique modified version of a JVM. It's a Friedman amp. This is a $2,500 amp, by the way, and this models it really well. And then all of this is basically the clean Dumble. I just love the way that it sounds, honestly. All right, so the inspiration, a lot of the stuff we're playing in the Southern rock band is like Leonard Skinner, Molly Hatchet, the whole 9 of it. So I'll let you hear it. This first patch is like my rhythm and probably what I'll be playing most of the night. I'm the only guitar player in the band, so I get away with a lot more than if you have 2 guitarists. So, dial this in to taste if you decide to get it. See, it does the Skinner thing. Amazing. And the Molly Hatchet thing. I don't want to get dinged for copyright. But yeah, this is it. For those who are going to use this in the band context, one thing I need to test is my reverb. I think it'll be fine. It's nothing too crazy, but you definitely hear it. But I love the way it sounds. Just going down, I'll kind of walk you through. I love this optical compressor. It just sounds really warm, and I love the sustain that it adds. I'm just doing a 4-to-1 compression, so nothing too crazy, kind of standard in a studio environment. The drive pedal of choice, look, I'm a big Klon fan, so anytime you see drive, that's probably what I'm using. The amp is a Dumble. You can see, the only thing I really did was I pulled out the gain. I didn't really worry too much about this because it just sounded really good out the gate, and I am running a graphic EQ. In the cab section, I'm running this through the 1960 TV, which is basically a vintage Marshall, and this is bass off of a Marshall, so it just made sense. These are the cuts I do that are pretty standard. If I'm using a dynamic mic, I like it to have a little bit of high end. This is something that you could even pull back even more. It just depends on where you're playing. And then I also cut 5700 at condenser, and I thought about going even further. I cut really aggressively because you just have to playing through some of these PAs. But I'm also running a graphic EQ. Now, I went to school for music production at Full Sail University, and Full Sail drilled it into my head that if you're doing anything more than, 3 dB, you probably need to readdress something in the mix. So I kind of take that same approach. I mean, the only area that I'm really doing something aggressively is at 16K. There shouldn't be that coming out of the cab section anyways, but I still did it just to ensure I'm not having too much top end coming out. Now for me, I plug directly into a PA, or the band's PA, which are like QSC monitors. They have the whole rig set up. And then I also have a floor monitor. I use the Fender FR FR12. So I have to be really mindful of my top end. That's why you see an aggressive cut. If you're not doing that, feel free to change this to taste. But this also works really well with my Les Paul. This is an Amanda Les Paul. I'll have to post my my Gibson story, but I talked about it in a live stream recently. Now, this guitar has the burst bucker pickups. So it's an overwound Alico 5 bridge pickup and an underwound Alico 5 neck pickup. So I get super warm, think 335 neck with super hot Les Paul bridge. This is my baby. This is my number one. All right, and let's see. For the reverbs, for all of my gain amps, I am using the Recording Studio C. When I switch over to the clean amps, I'm using this dark chamber, but we'll get to that. I don't want to spoil the beans. All right, so looking at all of the different presets or the different scenes, again, the first 4 are dirty, the last 4 are clean. So this is my lead tone. I don't really know what solo to play, so I don't know. Let's do some pentatonic. Sounds pretty good. I think it's really going to poke out in the mix. I've never really used chorus, but I'll get to why I use that. So starting off, I switched to the Pi fuzz. Lately, I've just really fallen in love with fuzz pedals, and I really enjoy how they sound here. The only thing I do is I increase the sustain. So really, if you think like if I'm doing any type of noodling, then that really helps with that. So that's the reason for that. Same amp settings, haven't changed anything. Same with the cab. Graphic EQ is the same on all this. Now, I did decide to add some chorus and some delay. I built this with my studio monitors first, like my headphones on first, and now I'm running it in the room, so it's kind of cool to hear it breathing in stereo. But I guess that's one thing you got to be careful of. If you're not running stereo, just make sure you're doing mono. But outside of that, I just liked how much width this gave the guitar, and I didn't feel like the chorus was overwhelming. So I decided to keep it, and I really like the way that it turned out. You know, you got to keep in mind too, I'm playing in a southern rock band where we're very melodic. So this chorus with delay is just going to help me poke out a little bit more in the mix. And really, our mix is really sparse. It's just me, or sparse. It's just me, a bass player, and a drummer. So it gives me a lot of room. You know, you just always got to think about the context in which you're playing. But honestly, I like the sound. Okay, next, we've got some Hendrix on the set list, so I needed to recreate that sound. So this is specifically for Fractal. Alright, so the only thing that I did is I'm stacking overdrives. I have the Pi fuzz, and that's going to run straight into the octave distortion. And then that is running into a uni vibe, classic vibe. And then I kept the chorus because that modulation just really opens my guitar up. And again, I'm the only guitar player, so I'm making my guitar as big as possible. And it sounds great. The last dirty patch that I created, or scene that I created, we play Low High by the Black Keys, and so I needed to get something that gave me something close. So here's what I got. Really cool sound. You can see I'm only using about 66, 67% of my CPU power. But again, same compressor. I am doing an octave down, but it's so low in the mix. This pedal is really overwhelming, so I had to drop it down a ton. Yeah, but it just sounds so good. And the only other thing I'm running is this octave distortion. I was messing around with different phasers and flangers, like especially the phaser, try to get that univibe sound. But I just decided to leave it like this, and it got me there without being crazy overwhelming. It just sounds really cool. Alright, let's get into some of my favorite tones for clean too. This is always switch to your neck pickup. Alright, so starting out, the amp that I decided to go with is the, I have no, Blue DJ clean, and I was reading up, this is basically an old Dumble, and this is Robin Ford specifically. So, first thing I did was I just dropped the gain tremendously. I boosted my mids and my treble, and I pulled back presence while also turning on the bright switch. But this is where knowing your guitar is going to be important. For me, I know this is an underwound pickup, and I just know this guitar because I probably have 1,000 hours with it. So I got it dialed in for my Les Paul. Beautiful, man. For the cab, I'm using the Fractal V30. I basically stole this from another preset. I just love the way that it sounded, so nothing too crazy there. I actually need to make my changes here, so we've got 80 here, and we're gonna do, let's do 6,000 here, just to allow me to have a little bit of high end. I'll have to hear how this sounds coming out of our PA, but this is what I'm gonna use for now. Go ahead and save it. For the reverb, I'm using the deep chamber. And I just think it sounds beautiful. And that's my inspiration, is to be beautiful. Yeah, graphic EQ is the same on all because it's the same guitar. If you're gonna plan on changing this up with guitars, just use your ears and EQ to taste. But let me show you the next patch. Next one is a clean chorus. I basically split all of my different modulations, so here it is with chorus. So pretty. Clean modulation, I'm basically, this should not be on. This is why we're going through this, so I can clean everything up for you. Clean modulation, I basically just turn on the flanger, the phaser, the chorus, and the delay. And again, this is inspired by some theater I've done. I don't know where I'll use this in songs yet, but I like to have it just as an option. I use the same exact setting on a deluxe reverb for Rock of Ages. It was a love scene, so this is it. It's just really cool, man. It kind of reminds me of like some old Gary Moore. Alright, and then last, I have a slight breakup sounds, so think edge of breakup tones. Like really the inspiration here was some John Mayer. Yeah, just really pretty. And that's it. This is my preset in a nutshell. So this is basically what get me by with anything I need to do in the band setting, live streams. Anytime this guitar is in my lap, this is pretty much what I need. So if you, you're more than welcome to replicate this. I think I've showed all of my settings. But again, if you want to support the channel and support what I'm doing here on YouTube, and while just getting instant access to this, check the link below. They're on sale. I think all of my presets are $4.99. And a lot of you jumped over from the last video and grabbed the Tools Day preset, so I appreciate you so much. This is probably the most complete FM9 preset I've built to date. And if you have any questions about setting up your FM9 the way I did, leave it in the comment section. If there's enough people interested, I'll make a whole video about it. But yeah, man, cheers. I really appreciate y'all. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in to Fractal Friday. Do all the YouTube stuff of liking, subscribing, and let me know at least one thing you're grateful for, and I'll see you in the next video.